Okay, so y'all remember Salt Bae, right? That guy who sprinkled salt like he was casting a spell and made the whole world believe seasoning meat was an art form? Yeah, that guy. Well, turns out life isn't so flavorful for him anymore. His restaurants are shutting down, his image is tanked, and he's basically become a walking meme for arrogance. What's wild is, this wasn't some unlucky downfall. He did this to himself.
We will open Mexico City, Monaco, Milano, Rome, Cappadocia, Istanbul.
Before becoming Salt Bae, Nusret Gökçe was just a poor kid from Turkey. His dad worked in the mines, and there weren't enough resources for him to go around. So at 11 or 12 years old, Nusret dropped out of school and started working in a butcher shop. Those early years built the foundation for what would later become his signature style. By 2010, he finally opened his own place in Istanbul, a tiny steakhouse called Nusret. But here's what most people never knew. Salt Bae didn't do this by himself. Behind him were powerful investors who saw something in this scrappy butcher and decided to back him financially. And then came the moment that changed everything. In January 2017, Nusret posted a clip of himself slicing steak and sprinkling salt from his forearm, letting the grains bounce down his arm like he was casting magic dust. The clip blew up overnight. 36 seconds. That's all it took. Salt Bae wasn't just a chef anymore. He was a walking symbol of luxury dining. But here's the catch. The fame quickly started overshadowing the food. The hype became the real product. As long as he sprinkled salt dramatically, nobody cared about flavor or service. The cameras replaced the customers, and the performance replaced the passion. And this is where the cracks started forming. After that 10-second video turned him into a global celebrity, Salt Bae did what every overnight celebrity eventually does. He went all in on maintaining his public image. The decor, the gold plates, the marble walls, even the salt became part of his personal brand. He wanted every single thing you touched or saw in that restaurant to feel expensive. And then he took things to a new level through his gold-covered steaks. Yeah, you heard that right. Steaks covered in gold. A single one could cost you around $1,400. The gold added nothing to the taste. You can't even digest it. But people didn't care. It was shiny, it looked cool on camera, and it made them feel special. And to be fair, it worked. You could scroll through social media and see videos of people cutting gold steak, champagne bottles stacked on the table, and a smiling Salt Bae posing like a rock star. There were actual receipts being posted online. $50,000, $75,000, even $100,000 bills for a single meal. People bragged about it like it was an achievement. But here's the problem. When a restaurant becomes a selfie spot, it stops being about the food. People didn't go to Nusret to enjoy steak anymore. They went to flex their wealth. And Salt Bae knew that. He started posting customer bills on Instagram with captions like, "Quality is never expensive." At first, it seemed funny, but then things started to change because the world wasn't doing great. Inflation was up, people were struggling to pay rent, and he was out here bragging about gold steaks like a cartoon villain. It was tone deaf, and the internet wave eventually turned against him. Comment sections filled up with people calling him out. Even food critics started calling his restaurants overpriced tourist traps. And the worst part? Salt Bae loved it.
We are not expensive. This is, perception, not reality.
He thought the controversy was free marketing that made him look special. In 2018, Salt Bae came under fire for serving dinner to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Now, at first look, it's just another celebrity moment, right? A famous chef serving a famous person. But the context made it horrifying. During that time, Venezuela was in a complete crisis. People were starving. Grocery store shelves were empty. Parents were skipping meals so their kids could eat. The country's economy was collapsing. And here comes this video, where Maduro is eating a luxury steak while Salt Bae's slicing meat for him like it's a royal banquet. The camera pans to $200 bottles of wine and gold-trimmed plates, all while millions back home couldn't even afford rice. The timing couldn't have been worse. People treated this act as pure cruelty. Protesters gathered outside his Miami restaurant, and this wasn't just a small protest. News outlets broadcasted it on their official platforms.
Celebrity chef known as Salt Bae facing new criticism this morning. This video right here going viral of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro feasting on a steak prepared by that chef at his restaurant in Istanbul.
This was the moment when the cool, confident chef became the symbol of everything people hate about celebrity culture. Rich, fake, and disconnected from real life. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the worst of it. Because while Salt Bae was busy serving dictators and bragging about his gold steaks, things inside Salt Bae's restaurant were not nearly as glamorous as they looked online. Multiple former workers started speaking up, and their stories painted a pretty ugly picture. Long hours, no breaks, and barely any pay for the amount of work they did. Some said they were clocking in over 70 hours a week. And these weren't entry-level workers. We're talking about the grillmen, the chefs who made the steaks people were paying thousands of dollars for. In 2019, 4 of those grillmen finally had enough. They decided to take Salt Bae to court in New York, claiming he was stealing 3% cut off of their tips and not paying for all those extra hours. And here's the thing, they had evidence, and they won. The court ordered Salt Bae's company to pay them $230,000 in stolen wages. But it didn't stop there. A few months later, another lawsuit was filed. Same issue, same story. Employees saying he worked insane hours and never saw the money they earned. His former manager called out Salt Bae for his obsession with public appearances. A former employee said they were told to act busy even when the restaurant was empty. Another said they were made to stand outside and fake long waiting lines, just so it looked like the place was already full. Think about that. You're exhausted, underpaid, maybe even underfed, and now your boss is making you pretend business is booming for his Instagram story? And this whole image-first mindset wasn't just bad for his team, it was setting him up for a much bigger fall. 18 December 2022, the FIFA World Cup final in Qatar. And then, out of nowhere, Salt Bae shows up on the pitch. He somehow gets past security and walks straight up to the players like he's part of the team. He grabs their shoulders, shoves himself into photos, and keeps trying to talk to Messi, who's clearly trying to ignore him. You can actually see Messi looking uncomfortable, like, who let this guy on the field? But it gets worse. Salt Bae doesn't just want a selfie. He wants the actual World Cup trophy. He reaches out and touches it, holding it up like he just won the match himself. And if you don't know, that's a big crime. As per FIFA's official rulebook, only the winners, FIFA officials, and heads of state are allowed to touch that trophy. That one move, that one desperate grab for attention, destroyed what was left of his image. Within days, FIFA banned him from attending any future FIFA events. And here's the crazy part. You'd think after that humiliation he'd take a step back. Maybe stay low-key for a bit to rebuild his image. But nope, Salt Bae did what Salt Bae always does. In 2023, he tried pulling another stunt, this time at the Champions League final after party. He showed up trying to sneak his way in, probably expecting everyone to recognize him and roll out the red carpet. But instead of applause, he got kicked out right in front of everyone. The guy who once defined genuineness was now being called desperate and washed up. The fame wasn't organic anymore. And while he was busy chasing camera time, the one thing that actually made him money was starting to fall apart. People began sharing their own experiences at his restaurants. And let's just say they weren't great. In fact, they were terrible. Customers complained about cold food, under-seasoned steaks, rude staff, and sky-high prices that didn't make sense for what they got. His New York burger joint got ripped apart in reviews. One major outlet called it one of the worst in the city. Another described it as soulless, which honestly feels like the most accurate summary of Salt Bae's entire brand at that point. Then there was London. His flagship steakhouse there barely held on to 2 stars on TripAdvisor. A review called the restaurant an insult to humanity. That's not even food criticism. That's a personal attack. When your restaurant gets roasted like that, you know your brand's in trouble. But nothing compared to what happened next. One of his restaurants was doing a tableside fire show. You know, one of those flashy tricks where they pour alcohol and light it up for the wow factor. Except this time, something went horribly wrong. The flame exploded out of control.
Oh my god! Ay yandı!
4 customers were injured, including a young model who suffered third-degree burns over 35% of her body. It was horrifying. The story spread everywhere. How could a luxury restaurant be this careless? That one accident alone did massive damage to his image. The shiny gold and expensive prices couldn't hide what was really going on anymore. It was clear that his obsession with fame was now destroying everything he had built. By 2025, Salt Bae's empire wasn't just struggling, it was collapsing in real time. The biggest blow came from the US market. Between 2023 and 2025, he shut down 5 out of 7 US restaurants. What was supposed to be his golden playground turned into his biggest failure. Even overseas, things weren't any better. His London restaurant, which once bragged about long waiting lists and celebrity guests, saw profits drop by half. Reviews tanked, and even loyal fans started walking away. His financial filings in the UK told the full story. £5.4 million loss in just 1 year. And when you look closer, that loss came directly from his US operations that were supposed to make him a household name in America. In business terms, that's what you call a total wipeout. The company tried to blame the closures on market conditions and post-pandemic challenges, but everyone knew the truth. It wasn't the economy, it was his own arrogance. But what do y'all think of the downfall of Salt Bae? Leave your thoughts in the comments.